Hi, my name is Bob Smith. I'm an Oracle Field Service Engineer. Today we're going to be taking a look at some service procedures on some Oracle Sun equipment. And as an intro, one of the things that we need to do is make sure that we're servicing the proper equipment. Please ask your system administrator that you're working with, your customer, to turn on the locator indicator ID, which is this top indicator right here. It should blink white, so you know which piece of equipment you're supposed to be working on. Also, please verify that the service request that you have also corresponds to the serial number that's on the request. The serial number is located here right by the locator ID, and just go ahead and make sure that's the same. And always when you're working on electronic equipment, make sure you have a static strap so you don't introduce any static shock to the equipment. Today we're going to be looking at the procedure for replacing a RAID sass card battery on the X4150. In this example, we've already removed the system from the cabinet, so we're ready to perform service. We've disconnected our power, and the first thing we need to do is to open up the cabinet. Once you've identified which system to work on, the system administrator will need to power down the system. Once it's powered down, you'll need to remove all the cables and power cords that are connected to the system, and then bring the system out of the cabinet that it's in so that you can perform the service of the internal components. You remove the top cover, you depress the fan module access door clips and lift up. Press down on this button, and then use your access door as a lever to push backwards, and then you lift off the cover. At that point, you want to attach your static protection. Find a place on the edge of the system that's metal, and just go ahead and clip on there. And the card we're wanting to replace is the card that controls the front hard disk drives. You'll notice that the cable runs from the hard disk drive area going to the RAID sass controller. We're going to have to remove the PCI crossbeam. We start with this captive screw over here, and then the second one is on the other side. Lift, kind of swivel it up, and then pull away. Remove your sass cables. Once your PCI crossbeam has been removed, you'll notice that the RAID sass controller is going to be the controller that has these sass cables coming out of it. You'll want to remove the PCI riser screw, which is a captive screw. And then you want to lift up carefully and remove the PCI riser from the motherboard. Kind of flip your PCI card over, and then you'll remove your sass cables, pressing down on the silver locking mechanism, and it just pulls right out. At this point, you want to remove the card from its PCI riser. Just kind of apply even pressure and just get that out of its slot, and then it's removed. Once you have the card removed, you'll be able to access the 3 nylon screws. There's a nut on the other side as well. That's why you need to remove the card. And you'll be removing those screws to remove the battery. Make sure you don't lose the nylon nut. Once your nylon screws are removed, you'll be able to lift up, gently kind of rock it out of its socket and remove the battery. When you remove the card, there's 3 nylon spacers that the screws go through. They're not really attached to the board at all. You just need to set those aside. You'll take your new replacement battery, line up your spacers on the holes. There's 3 holes where the screws go through. Line up the socket and the 3 screw holes over the spacers. Put the screw through the one there. Sometimes you'll need to maneuver your spacer back underneath. Put your screw through there, through there. Hold it with your fingers, and then you can take your nuts and get those started. Once those 3 are started, you'll have a little bit more flexibility to tighten them down. Hold the nut on the underside with your finger and just tighten just a little, just so it's snug. Like so. Okay, then we're ready to put the sass controller back into the riser. It's keyed, so you're going to line up your key with your slot. Go ahead and insert those, like so. Then you're going to take your riser and then reinstall it back onto the motherboard. Line it up and place just a little bit of pressure to get it to go into the slot. Reconnect your sass cables. Make sure they lock in place. And you will take your PCI crossbeam, and you'll notice on the PCI crossbeam there's a cutout on each side that will fit under the rivet on each side. Slide that on there, and then the screw, captive screw by the power supplies first, and then the one on the other side. And then don't forget your PCI riser screw, and then it's time to put the cover back on. Give yourself an inch. Pull towards you and lock the fan module access door. Once you're done putting the cover back on, you want to put the system back in its cabinet and reconnect all the cables that you disconnected, and then inform your customer that he can power on the system from the system controller.